It's Part 2 Truth with me on JJ Tabane. We're taking a quick break from our conversation with John Kani to talk to Thulasizwe Simelane, one of our senior anchors here at eNCA, to talk about the breaking news story as Ministry of Justice issuing a statement with a confirmation that the Gupta brothers have been arrested in UAE. What are the implications of this, Thulas? Good evening and thank you. I know I dragged you out of your exercise session out there. Tell me, yeah.
It's perfectly fine that I had to come in a bit early. This is major news that is developing on the front of the fight against corruption, particularly state capture. For the longest time, it seemed as if the Guptas disappeared from the conversation around state capture, and it ended up being about the people who were on the ground at Transnet, at ESCOM, at Denel, and the others. And you just had this question of, but
where
what
are
about
the
the
Guptas? Where are the central
Guptas,
figures of this whole thing?
So it was a few years ago, I think it must have been in 2018, if I'm not mistaken, when South Africa signed that extradition agreement with the United Arab Emirates. And in March this year, South Africa requesting Interpol to put out a red notice alert against the Guptas. Interpol has 194 member states, and the red notice basically means that, provisionally arrest them.
Wherever they are in those 194
wherever you
countries.
find them in those 194 countries, provisionally arrest them pending processes that lead to proper extradition. So just a short while ago, confirmation from the Department of Justice and Correctional Services that arrest has now been made for Atul and Rajesh Gupta. These are the Gupta brothers that feature the most. In fact, all three do feature in these allegations, but I think in many instances where there were those meetings that were taking place in Saxonwold at the various hotels in here in Johannesburg, where bribes were being discussed, where ways of swaying the decision making was being discussed, changes to boards were being discussed. These were the two central figures in as far as the Gupta brothers are concerned. Remember the allegations that are made about the offer of a bribe that they made to
the Deputy Minister of Finance.
To the then Deputy Minister of Finance, Mcebisi Jonas, and the various other allegations that come to the fore. These are in connection with those, and finally we're seeing a process. But JJ, this is the start of a process. That I do expect will be a very long and
for extradition. I mean, they could be in prison over there, but not yet here to come and answer. Because
JJ, they are still, they are represented legally. So when South Africa requested this issue of a red notice, their lawyer in United Arab Emirates opposed the issuing out of that. So that tells you that they don't intend to hop on a plane
and come here to answer. By the way, they ignored the state capture, which means when they come here, the State Judicial Commission. So when they come here, they're going straight to court.
Absolutely. They don't have the benefit of putting their version at the State Capture Commission of Inquiry. At some point, I think there was a statement that was read out on their behalf in the early stages of the public hearings that sort of signaled that they would be willing to participate, but I think there was some conditionalities
that the State Capture Commission rejected.
Absolutely. And in the end, we didn't get their version. They didn't get to get those Rule 33 notices issued out to various people that they would have wanted to cross-examine and put their own version on the table. So I guess the court will be the first stop for them.
But would it mean that the Hawks are going to be the first port of call, or the NPA is taking them straight into indictment?
I imagine that in this case it's a process led by the NPA's investigating directorate, because remember, they have kept watching brief over the State Capture Commission of Inquiry, and there's been that channel, that back channel and sharing of documents, of information, so that there's no need to reinvent the wheel as the investigating directorate goes into these cases, combing through the state capture report for the criminal element of things, right? Because there are, in the State Capture Commission reports, there are things that you and I, as voters, as South Africans, will have to, see how we deal with them.
Yes.
How do we bring about justice, and as far as those are concerned, political consequences. There are issues that have to do with civil consequences where we are recovering the money. The investigating directorate has been combing through, looking for the crimes and how exactly to prove on a balance on the standard of beyond reasonable doubt, which is the criminal standard. So I imagine investigating directorate has been at the forefront, working with the former staff members that were at the State Capture Commission of Inquiry, who are now assisting the ID, but also, you're absolutely right, the Hawks
will be central. Do you think for the administration, though, it's a good thing to happen now, given the cloud that has suddenly come over the president, over this whole...
Do you want me to speak power to truth now?
4 minutes. Speak it now. You've got the only chance. Otherwise, later on, you won't be able to do it.
It's fortuitous. It's fortuitous, JJ. The initial reading will say that it suddenly becomes the big story. But I would hope that it doesn't defocus
the other story.
On the other story.
No, he's still going to answer on Thursday. Do you think he's running away from answering?
It can't. We can't allow it to defocus us. This is big. This needed to happen, the Guptas and their arrest, for them to come and face trial. It was much needed. But the answers that we still need those answers. And for me, those answers include the key question when you say the amount is far less than
it means you know how much it is.
Far less than $4 million could be $3.9 million.
No, it's not far less.
It could be 3.9.
He's trying to say it's little.
It could be 3.5
but his
million.
spokesperson told us they're still wading through the invoices to see how much it is.
But they know it's far less.
So they have an idea of how much it is.
So all of those things, not to make light of the situation, I believe that I was wondering yesterday, and I wondered out loud on air, whether President Cyril Ramaphosa can afford to have these allegations lingering under the guise and the cover and the shroud of allowing due process
investigation to happen.
Its part. There's room for that, but certainly you and I know that investigations in this country can take years.
Yes.
So what are we saying now?
But
that this will linger on for years?
In this instance, I don't think he's in a hurry for the investigation to happen before December.
Okay.
He's not in a hurry. It's the RET force who are going to be in a big hurry, and he'll say, "No, I've not been charged." And then he goes to December, hopefully win the conference, and then he'll deal with the rest after. It's a whole Zuma 2007 thing all over again, isn't it?
So I had an interesting thing yesterday where he was framing it along the lines of forces that are seeking to undermine our democracy. He didn't mention this incident in particular, but he said we saw that with the July unrest last year, but also he used the word lawfare. And that for me sort of pinged a little bit, and I said, oh, okay, we're back to talking about lawfare. Remember, that's a phrase from the Zuma years that said that there's a sort of anti-majoritarian effort that was driven via lawfare, going to court over everything. In my mind, I made the connection.
It was a bit of muddling of the issues, isn't it?
In my mind, I thought, okay, I wonder where this is going. But it's in line with the reading of the ANC, by the way, JJ, in their policy discussion documents. They speak of a lumpen tendency that they are saying is creeping in, and it's being taken advantage of by elements, including elements inside the ANC. Part of the ANC's characterization of what happened in July last year includes talking about this lumpen element. But you, JJ, now have got me on Power to Truth. I came here to tell you about the Guptas.
Sorry. I do think that I don't take people who complain about lawfare in the ANC too serious. If you remember, Ismail Shule in the various conferences, I think the Mangong conference where his own provincial conference was declared null and void. You remember? And then in the Nazareth conference just before that, a couple of the votes, or rather the BGMs, I don't remember the detail, but I think the conference even ahead of Nazareth was something unlawful that happened, or it was declared, etc., which dealt with the numbers, right? Ismail Shule was one of the people who were saying people who take the ANC to court must be dealt with. He was firm about it. I'm not guessing. Right? Yet he was the first one who was in the High Court running and saying that he shouldn't be suspended. So I think that the ANC people need to just understand we're in a democracy. In a democracy, everybody has rights. Even if you are part of a social club somewhere, you have rights there that supersede the constitution of that social club. In
JJ,
this case, the social club in the ANC.
JJ, the Constitution, there was hard-fought negotiations over this Constitution over a period of time. There were these constitutional principles that were agreed to before we had the final Constitution that had to reflect the general consensus of the various interests in society that were merging in the way that our flag symbolizes that we're coming from different backgrounds and we're now moving forward together. The ANC is the one party that got a lot of what it wanted. The cry about lawfare, it was the ANC and its leadership in terms of thought around constitution making that ensured that we have a constitution that has checks and balances, a supreme constitution, a constitution where where, you know, whoever is the strongest will just get away with it, will just get what they want. So as long as you are true to the tenets of the Constitution and the rule of law in the state, you have absolutely nothing to worry about. The various civil society organizations can take you to court 1,000 times, and 1,000 times you'll come back on the right side.
Let me be cynical. Do you think that somehow there are forces who had something to do with the timing of this arrest?
I don't know.
Since last week to say, just do something dramatic, just arrest the Guptas, man.
I don't know. I would hope not, JJ. I would hope that there's no manipulation of the...
but it's too coincidental, eh?
I'm an idealist, JJ, so I would hope that, you know, there's no manipulation of the state law enforcement processes. But also, importantly, we must say, this is a process playing out in the United Arab Emirates. And
not yet
to the extent that we can suspect that there's any manipulation, it would be a bit of a, I don't know.
Too far.
One would hope that if there is that manipulation, we hope there's not, but if there is, you'd hope that it doesn't reach that far, because then you're getting into real mafia state scenarios there. So one hopes that this is a follow-through from the red notice.
You don't think we're already in a mafia state?
Okay, JJ, I came here to tell you about the Guptas.
No, I want to talk. Okay, it's fine. You don't want to talk.
You must invite me next time.
I'll call Dated Kani and ask him this question. What does he think of the state of corruption and whether we're going to be able to be on top of it? He's going to answer. No, he's an artist. He must answer. He's coming back. Yes, now. Thank you, Thulas.
Thank you, JJ.
We'll see you at Newsnight.
Sure.